discussion now on perspective and opportunities in the plant-based meat sector in India. The session would be moderated by Mr. Sagar Kurade, Managing Director for Suman Project Consultants, and our esteemed panelists are Mr. Abhinav Sinha, Co-founder and CEO of GoodDot, Mr. Kartik Dixit, Co-founder and CEO of Evo Foods, and Mr. Amit Bajaj, Managing Director for Vazley Foods. Over to you, Sagarji.
Thank you so much. We have a very, very esteemed panel today talking on a topic which is talked about topic today, which is the plant-based meat sector as or the mock meat sector, or some people may also call it vegan foods associated with it. I would like to invite Mr. Abhishek Sinha, co-founder, CEO of GoodDot, to the panel. Mr. Kartik Dixit, co-founder and CEO of Evo Foods, and Mr. Amit Bajaj, Managing Director of Vazley Foods. Welcome all of you to a wonderful panel discussion we hope to have. It will be wonderful to get to know, first of all, what motivated each one of you to start, give a little bit perspective of each of your companies. Kartik, starting from you, if you can quickly share a little bit of what motivated you and a perspective on your company, please.
Thank you so much, Sagarji. And the panel is amazing as of now because I personally have GoodDot products regularly in my diet, and I love it. So I'm so glad to be here, and I thought that I could share some details about Evo's journey. I think Evo, the name, was born itself in 2017. I had trademarked it long ago because I loved it as a part of a brand or a trademark or the name of the company. So I had registered it in 2017 itself. And I think in that time, I turned vegan because I suddenly saw a video of, a cow getting culled, and it suddenly, all of the things got connected, that, it's morally wrong, as well as it's environmentally destructive, as well as, it's just polluting all of our natural resources. And I got to know about all of these facts that 18% of greenhouse gases emissions are coming from animal agriculture. So these were, eye-openers for me. And I then started off my journey in the alternative protein industry. And after 1.5 years of working in it, Shraddha and I co-founded Evo Foods, simply to reduce animals out of the food equation or to remove animals out of the food equation completely. And the reason why we are starting off with an egg substitute, although the panel is named as meat alternatives, but definitely, this perspective could also matter. Because I think India is a diverse country. We need a lot of clean protein sources in our diet. And I think egg could be a great area we need to tackle first. So that was our motive. And that's why we started off with Evo Foods to sort of introduce the concept of clean protein to the Indian market in a form where consumers can connect with it. These are just your legumes, your grains, whatever you eat on a regular basis, in just a different form, in the form of a liquid egg. And you can just pour it in a pan and make omelets, scrambles, frittatas, and whatnot. And I think it's been going really well. We have received a lot of interest from market. We have a lot of signups on the site, and we are launching within a month. So I think, that's something which is going on really great. And thank you so much for the chance for giving me this introduction.
Absolutely. Amit and Abhishek, if you can tell your stories of what motivated you to start this venture and how long it has been.
Yeah. So, we started our journey in 2010. I came back from the abroad. I saw over there that a lot of people are health conscious. When I came in India, in the street where junk food are everywhere, we can find the junk food. Now there is a lot of options of the healthy food. So we decided that we will provide the healthy food to our nations. So that's why the company vision is to give the nutrition and delicious food to nations in the form of junk food and non-veg substitute in cost-effective manner. So why we are manufacturing all the soya-based product? Why we choose the soya? Because soya is a protein rich and nutrition value is much better than the other products. So we developed so many products in soya, and giving the variety to the our nation so that they can replace their food in their diet. So why we choose the soya? We will try to. I will try to with the help of one example. There is a one tapu in Okinawa. Over there, a lot of people eat the soya bean on a regular basis. So what is the effect over there? We saw, you can see the heart disease type of the problem are very less. Diabetic type of the people are very less over there, and the longevity in the people are very high over there. So we decided that we will only will manufacture all the soya based products so that the and everybody know the density or density of in India the protein. Everybody need a protein and nutritious value, and in street food also required there is a gap in nutritious food. So that's why we enter in and we develop the kebabs and these things everybody knows.
Amit, being a decade in the industry, that pretty much makes you the grandfather of plant-based meat sector in India as far as organized industry is concerned. So great. Abhishek, your story, please.
Yeah, thank you, Sagarji, for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Basically, the seed of GoodDot was sowed in the year 2003, way back when I was in my final year of engineering. So, I would consume meat. I come from community where people consume meat, but I'm also an animal lover. So I would love taking care of animals, feeding them, rescuing them. So there was a moral dilemma in my mind when I was consuming meat on one side and I was helping animals on the other side. So that was the seed, the thought that, okay, you know what, if we can get some product, which has a great, ethical footprint, but tastes like meat. So a Dutch government sponsored study on tissue culture based meat came out in 2003. So that was the particular time I got hooked onto the idea. But along the way, I did various jobs. I was in the civil services. But in 2013, we formed a team and we got some investors and we started working on a project to make plant-based meat in India. Finally, in 2016, we formed GoodDot, and our first commercial product was launched in 2017. So since then, we have been selling all across India, and we have also started exporting outside India.
Oh, lovely. Let's try to give a perspective to our audience in terms of various verticals within plant-based meat sector, and the difference between that as well as a lab-based meat, lab-grown meat, as it may be said. That may be very different from what each one of you is doing. So, if any of the panel members can share the verticals they stand for and what others are. So,
Sure. So, I would say, broadly, as you rightly said, there are two fundamental technologies. Right now, I would say there are three or four. But in terms of categorization, the most important categories are plant-based meat, which use 100% plant-based ingredients to make meat. The second is tissue culture-based meat or lab meat or clean meat, which what they do is they, use, scaffolding technique and grow, a meat out of a single cell. So that is at a conceptual stage, still yet to be commercialized. But therein, no animals are killed, but a live cell of an animal is used to culture and make meat. So this is a two broad category. New categories which are coming is fermentation based. So what they do is like they're using mycoproteins and a fungal based fermentation which are used to make meat. And again, seaweed, algae, some of the other ingredients are being used. But right now, plant-based meat is the one which is available commercially, and most of the meat space is being used by plant-based meat. Within the plant-based meat, you have plant-based seafood, you have plant-based chicken, and you have plant-based red meat. So these are the three broad categories within the plant-based meat.
absolutely. Thanks, Abhishek. Any other panel members want to add to that?
I think mushroom-based category is also something which is proliferating.
Yeah, fungus based. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's one of the most transformational technologies right now, and I think this is going to provide the same texture as well as taste, mouthfeel of meat-based alternatives as compared to plant-based meat. But of course, as Abhishek rightly said, plant-based meat is widely available. It's ready. We can start off with it. We can reduce the impact right now, starting right now, rather than working waiting or waiting for these technologies to get commercialized in the long term.
So, Kartik, give us a perspective of your plant-based liquid egg alternative product that you have, which is a very unique product currently in India. And the opportunity is tremendous. But what is that opportunity you guys are looking at in terms of world market as well as in terms of India market?
Absolutely. I think, India as a market is so much diverse. There are so many communities, there are so many religious beliefs, there are so many different types of dietary preferences. We eat like in a pattern where people start off with, your giants, as well as they don't eat anything from soil. And then you have your ovo lacto vegetarians, and then you have people who want to eat meat, but they eat it without giving an idea to their parents or something like that. So there's always some amount of guilt associated with animal based meat or animal based protein consumption, and each of these proteins come off with a baggage with them. For example, let's say, let's take an example of eggs. Eggs come off with a baggage of antibiotics. They come off with a, that there's no transparency in the supply chain. You don't know where the eggs are going to come from. They could be from a well-run farm, or they could be from a neglected farm. So this complete array of disinformation regarding the egg industry as of now. And there's animal cruelty, of course, and environmental factors as well. So each of these protein sources which we are consuming come off with a baggage, and to give the protein source without any kind of baggage is the real challenge for companies as well as consumers as well, because consumers do want to consume these type of proteins. And that's why we wanted to introduce in the form of a liquid egg, which can perform well with pan recipes such as omelets, scrambles, frittatas, and whatnot, and gradually increase its properties to be included in mostly everything where an egg can be used. And India as a market, we see it more of a tier 1 city opportunity as of now. We keep receiving a lot of mail from tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns, saying that, hey, we would like to consume Evo egg as a part of our diet. But I think, we need to start from somewhere. And I think the willingness to pay for such a kind of a product, which is obviously going to be higher in price than normal eggs, is higher in tier 1 cities. And that's why, our whole approach lies in being the number 1 player in tier 1 cities in the coming years in plant-based egg spectrum.
Thanks, Kartik. Amit, from your perspective, where do you see your journey? Where do you see your company 10 years from? It's already been a decade for you in the industry. Where do you think the next decade stands for India and the world in your market space, product space especially?
Our first target to capture the whole India market. Then we focus the another place, because India is a very huge market, everybody in the whole world. So we are trying to give a variety to the customer and in a different way, so that they can accept our product. And we are giving the habit, because habit is a play very important role. Unless and until we will not give the habit to our product, it's very difficult to give to the continue to the customer. And the biggest thing is that we have to tell to the audience why the plant-based meat is important for Indian market. This is the way we have to tell to the audience, and many times, so that they will understand why it is better for a environment, why it is better for a future, why it is better for our new generations also. Like just I will little bit just go through in some points. Like the India is the largest exporter of the meat, and it's also producer of the cheap meat. And the biggest thing is that the consumer most of the consumer eating unsafe meat because of the antibiotic given to the animals, chickens, and for their preventing. So these things we have to many times tell to the customer, so the customer will understand why this food is important for them. And everybody will have to tell about the consumptions, and water consumption is too much high for producing the meat and chickens, these things. And carbohydrate side generated too much because of the producing the meat and these things we have to tell, and these things, so that we have to target to new generations also. So whenever they will decide from the inside, they will switch it on and we also have to thanks to those people. There are so many religious people, there are so many religious crews. They are supporting us in direct way. They are tell to the people, don't eat the meat. You have to convert in a vegetarian. We also this. We have to thanks to all the NGOs. We have to thanks to all global NGOs, and in global effects also is coming, and they are also giving the knowledge about the veganism and about the plant-based meat, why is benefit. Because this is the very important thing for, I think so, everybody we will tell these things to people many times, so we can reach very fast in our mission.
Thanks, Amit. The way I understand it is currently worldwide plant-based meat sector and mock meat sector is about a $1.3 billion market tentatively as it stands versus a meat market that is about 1.3 trillion US dollars. So, I mean, we have not even achieved a speck of what the potential can be worldwide as well as India is concerned. But Abhishek, being there for so many years now in this sector, what do you think are the challenges? I mean, what are the issues? You guys have all been there for some time, and on a daily basis or otherwise also you face challenges. So what are the key challenges that this sector is facing to grow further, to grow bigger in India and otherwise?
I think, Sagarji, in this case, there are two challenges for any company entering into the space of plant-based meat. First of all is the product, because there are no plug-and-play formats to produce plant-based meat. Like every company you see across the globe, they'll have different textured products, which are different form of plant-based meat. So the R&D in this and creating your own, product which the consumers want is the primary challenge, the product-based challenge, innovation. Second, of course, is the branding and awareness levels, because this is an entirely new category which is being formed. So you need a lot of resources. Right now, we have done through organic means. We have not gone on a very high investment spree to create an awareness. But of course, when the investments come in terms of capital, because the scope is enormous, so we can expect very soon a lot of funding to come into the space. So what will help is generating awareness about the space. So if you have a product and the consumers are aware, I think it's a winner. So these are the major two challenges what I foresee in this case. Of course, at a regulatory level, I can say that chicken, meat, and other products have got zero GST. So, and this is a more healthier, more environmentally sustainable alternative, but still carries an 18% GST. So, if government wants to encourage it, I think that if it is made at par with, meat and chicken, I think that can also help in a lot of aggressive scale up.
That's a good point. Amit and Kartik, from your perspective, what are the challenges you guys have faced, or where do you see uh, things to overcome to grow further in this industry?
The biggest challenge is habit of the customer. Food habit is very
dietary habits, I guess.
Exactly. Food habit is very difficult to change the food habit. Suppose somebody is eating in a breakfast protha, how you will say you can give you? It's very difficult. So we have to gradually do the effort. Definitely we can get the success and give the importance of this food. Nowadays, obviously the young generation is very conscious about the health conscious, and they know each and everything perspective what is the important for their eating. So I think so food.
What about the raw material availability ingredient? For example, let's talk about pea protein isolates or soya protein isolates, or the quality associated with soya meal. What are the issues there? I mean, from a point of view of Indian sourcing.
Right now, I think so. We are buy some product from the imported. We use some imported product. If this product will manufacture, somebody will in India, so that definitely we can give in good amount economically, make an economically package to the customer, so we can increase our sales and we can reach to each point of the corner.
Kartik, your perspective?
Yeah, for sure. I think you mentioned it really correctly. I think soy is a definitely great canvas to paint on in this sector. It's functionally good. It's nutritionally superior, but I think there are a lot of controversies associated with soy, and I think nearly everyone in the sector is looking to diversify the protein sources, and for that we need innovations in ingredients to make it a more sustainable supply chain, because ultimately depending on just one ingredient or two ingredients, for example wheat or potato or soy protein, isn't going to be sustainable in the long run. So I think ingredients innovation is definitely going to be a game changer in this category coming forward in the next 5 years. We need diverse protein sources such as millets, such as legumes, such as, of course, as a country, we have over 62,000 plus varieties of all of these sources, which creates tremendous potential for innovation. But yeah, to commercialize it and to create it to a scale, I think that's the real challenge. And then, of course, translating it to the products that consumers love.
In fact, that makes me think about the next question, which is from a point of view of R&D. So Abhishek, your perspective, how critical is the role of R&D in this sector, and bringing more innovative new products, or working on the R&D or the investment India does in R&D side of this product?
I think that is one of the top focus areas. That should be the top focus area, because these are innovative products. These are not products which have been there in the market, and we are using the protein denaturation or the technology associated of extrusion, and some of the shearing techniques to really get different cuts and different types of meat, because this is being created at a factory level using ingredients which are always there, which have always been used, like the plant-based ingredient. So how do you get that? Because that's the trickiest challenge. If plant-based meat, whether it is in India or it is across the globe, has to really live up to its potential of disrupting the $1.3 trillion meat industry, I think R&D is going to be the key aspect, because consumer does not care about where the product is coming from, as long as it's safe and healthy. If the taste is good and the price is right, they'll go for it. So if plant-based meat do not taste good, or they are not as affordable as meat, I think the disruption will not happen. It will get limited to a small segment of the market. But what I see, what I foresee in the years ahead, that this is going to break all the ceiling and the real disruption will happen. For example, see in the case of plant-based dairy in the US, 17% of the plant dairy, liquid dairy, has been disrupted by plant-based dairy. It's phenomenal. The top first and the fourth ranked, dairy company in the US had filed for bankruptcy. So the disruption happened there because the price and the affordable, the taste profile was up to the consumer expectation. So that is why R&D will be very critical to get the right taste and the right price.
That's absolutely right, and that also makes me think that India is a very price sensitive market, as such. So Amit, from your perspective, how is the price sensitivity of Indian consumers addressed? I mean, there is always a challenge of offering your product in a right price band associated with it, where volumes can grow significantly. So give us your perspective of price sensitivity related issues of your market sector.
Yeah, obviously, India is a price sensitive market, everybody know. If we will give in a good price, good product in a good way, so definitely we can get the success very fast. And obviously, if the product is innovative, then obviously we have to target to first in a niche market, and the gradually will go in a mass side. But this time period is it's very hard. It's very hard to serve everything. So we have to, whenever we will manufacture the product, we have to conscious about the pricing policy also, because if we will give in a good price, then definitely we can target market very achieve very fast.
Karthik, from your perspective, the price sensitivity issue as well as the dietary habits of consumers, how is that to be addressed by Evo Foods?
Of course. I think that's another challenge to tackle in terms of widespread acceptability of any kind of plant-based product. And of course, as Abhishek mentioned, GST plays a huge role over there.
Yes.
And we have to start from somewhere. We have to give the option to the tier of consumers who are willing to spare a few bucks here and there, those who are willing to, let's say, pay 2 or 3x more for a better option, which gives them more perceived value, of course, because if you give subpar value at 2x 3x price, I think that's not going to be sustainable in the long term. So that's why at Evo as well, we want to make Evo as much nutritionally superior as possible as compared to a normal egg, so that we can at least give that perceived value to the consumer, and then create an aura where consumers are willing to pay more. And I think it will start from the richest 1 or 10% of the Indian population. I think there was a survey long back which says that if you are earning more than let's say 1,20,000, and that essentially puts you in the top 1% of the Indian population. And major part of this 1% lives in tier 1 cities. And then you have your 10%, which earns more than approximately 70 or 80,000 rupees per month. So I think it's just a matter of maths where you want your efforts to be, because ultimately 1% and 10%, people have that kind of bandwidth to spare a few more bucks for these kind of products. So I would say, for startups, it matters a lot to focus on these spectrums initially, and then, work their way down towards reducing costs, making it more widespread in tier 2 towns, etc. But I think, the wise strategy would be to start off with consumers who are willing to pay more for these kind of products.
The tier 1, tier 2 cities where the affordability is better there. Very interesting. And what about the export perspective? Because I believe export markets can always give you that price premium associated with your products. So, Abhishek, what are your export market targets or perspectives, and currently, and what you're looking to aim for? And I would love to know from each of the panelists, since the product categories are different for each of you in many ways.
So we have started exports probably a year and a half back on the high side. We right now we are selling in Dubai, we are selling in Canada, we are selling in Singapore, and South Africa and Mauritius. These are the 5 countries where we are available right now. Going ahead, our plan is to enter the US market and the European market, starting with probably United Kingdom. So, of course, it's a different market with a different pulse. Uh, it's much more aware market. The consumers are looking for these products. A lot of money has been invested into the consumer awareness situation by the big companies out there. So that's a very easy market if you have a product which matches their taste profile. Outside India, I think ready-to-eat products are, depending upon geographies, are more preferred, which you will have to finish the product. In India, people like to cook the products themselves. So, so ready-to-eat product is not as popular in India as compared to outside India. So our philosophy has been to balance different geographies, and then again, it's not monolithic. People, for example, in Mauritius, where with a large Indian population, they would rather have chunks of meat which they'll cook at home. Whereas in South Africa, they would rather prefer a finished meat, where they don't have to do anything with the raw meat per se. So we are learning along the way as we are entering those markets, and it's very different. It's not a monolithic export, I would say, countries. They are very varied. So you have to go there and go with a hypothesis and be willing to amend it as you go along the way.
Amit, from your perspective, and then followed by Kartik, what are the export market perspective from your company's side?
There is a potential in the export, but the challenging, Mr. Abhishek and told that the taste should be matched, should be the or people. This is the biggest R&D in marketing research. If we will match the taste of the people and behavior of the people we have to match, then the product will move very fast over there. So obviously, it is very easy to sell from here to over there. But there is a biggest R&D. We have to study how the behavior and taste and everything. We have to design the product according to them. Then we can sell very fast. Although we are also exporting in few countries, but for a volume we have to work on it. And most of the product are in frozen form, and the transportation, the cost is very high. This is the biggest challenge. So we have to look that one also. This part.
Any regulatory compliance issues, whether from India or export market perspective?
Not.
Kartik, for your product?
No, I think plant-based proteins don't have that much regulatory hurdles associated with them as compared to cell-based meat or fermentation technology, for example. I think companies like Nature's Find are also trying to commercialize their form of protein, and it has a lot of regulatory hurdles. But I would say from an export perspective, Southeast Asia is also a great market. I think Singapore is positioning themselves as the leader in alternative protein innovation. And a lot of companies are being incubated and accelerated in Singapore, just to cater to their vision of making it self-sufficient, or 30% of the food should be grown within Singapore or something like that. So I think Southeast Asia is one of the promising markets going forward. And one thing which Indian manufacturers or Indian companies can triumph on is, of course, price parity with animal protein categories. So I think that's going to be a defining factor if Indian companies are going to succeed in the future, because I think we studied the US market, and one thing which was consistent is that anything which is coming from India didn't have that great of a reputation as compared to other kind of geographies, which was really disappointing, because of course India manufactures great dairy products, great snack products. I think there was a snacking ban on Haldiram as well a couple of years ago. I think I remember that very vividly. But I think the perception needs to change, and for that we should make the product as much nutritious and affordable as possible to succeed in these overseas markets. I think that should be our strategy going forward.
So, Abhishek, from your company's point of view, if we have to look from a production or a marketing or a placement of the product perspective, what should be the strategy of companies in this space, and what are the key considerations?
I think you mean to ask in terms of production, what should be the strategy?
In terms of production, as well as in terms of this marketing placement of the product.
I think it is a very wide a strategy. So many ways can be taken. I can say what we are trying to do. Basically, for us, of course, we know that as the awareness level is increasing, you will have production pressures. Especially, you will start hitting your installed capacity, limits. So thereby, one has to, balance, the marketing effort along with the production scalability, right? And
Yeah, Abhishek, my question was from a thought process point of view, that should enterprise focus on multiple products with multiple SKUs beyond 4, 5, 7 products, or focus on a few products with better price point of view? What should be the strategy?
I think it should the strategy should be focused initially. You can't have many products to begin with, because then you will be divided in your attention. So you can start out on your small set of products and work deeper into the product development, get the right taste, get the right profile. Once we establish the market, with the product and your brand, I think then it's a good thing to really diversify into the product portfolio. So to answer to that question, personally would be, start out small, go deep, and then, broaden your horizons.
Amit, Kartik, any thoughts on the strategy product placement from production and marketing point of view?
Obviously, if in the beginning stage, product should be less, and gradually whenever you will capture the market, you launch the product day by day.
Innovate as you're
Exactly.
getting built up.
Exactly. This is the
So
way.
that should be the strategy. Yeah. Uh, uh, so great. Help me understand. We all have gone through COVID-related challenges in last 1.5 years associated with it. What has been your COVID-related issues? And if you could put some recommendations to government in terms of helping this market sector grow, what would that be? Abhishek, starting from you.
Yeah. Of course, our experience has been, two-pronged. First was in COVID phase one, and then the COVID phase two. In COVID phase one, of course, we had to do some of the, operational stuff to streamline the production. Thankfully, we fall under essential services because we are, food manufacturing company. So after an initial hiccup of 7-8 days, we started working in our plant. So we made arrangements for workers to stay, inside the plant so that, they could be safeguarded from COVID related. So they had shift of 15 days or 7 days shift wherein they could rest and stay in the house, and the next lot would come in and stay for 7 days after the testing. So that was the first side. Secondly, we felt that somehow there was also some bird flu outbreaks. If I am correct, during the initial COVID period. So that really created a disruption in the chicken market for a short span. So that time there was a lot of organic interest coming through for plant-based meat. So we built new relations during that period. Of course, during the second phase of COVID, the disruption from the supply side, the ingredient side, as well as our distribution partners, that was quite significant because, in the second phase, COVID actually impacted everyone across the family. So, we saw a dip in sale for a month or two at the peak of COVID because our logistics partners and others were also equally affected. But then again, the demand sprung back after, the initial hiccup, and now we are back on track. So I think, in COVID, you have to, from a health perspective of your workers, the challenges of operations, supply side, and logistics. So these are the four things. Those are the downside. On the plus side, people have become much more health conscious. They are much more aware about different products, where their products are coming for. So that creates a very strong, demand for plant-based alternative products. So we can ride on that, and also use social media and direct to consumer channels, as more and more people are really ordering online. So that's also an opportunity for the company.
Amit, Kartik, from your side, Amit, starting with you, COVID-related challenges and suggestions to government.
COVID time, everybody faced the problems. For a short time, we have to close the plant because according to the government norms, then they supported us. Then we started the retail sector. There was a demand over there, these type of the product. Now after the COVID, obviously the people are, then they have a knowledge about what they have to eat and which they have to do. These things, this COVID are supporting to us. Everyone has to eat a nutritious food.
Kartik, I think for you, COVID-related challenge became an opportunity where you hit a six with the funding round that you just had. So help us understand your suggestions to the government and COVID-related opportunity.
For sure. I think we closed the funding round in February itself. But the official, kind of the news came out in April when it was just starting out. But obviously our, launch event, which happened in March, it was really successful. We got great response on consumer tastings. And we got a lot of LOIs from a lot of restaurant chains as well. But ultimately, when we entered into the second wave, I think the supply chains got disrupted. Our ingredient manufacturers couldn't supply for us. Our launch got stalled, which was supposed to happen in April. But of course, we got back on track as soon as the restrictions were lifted, and now we are aggressively pushing towards, the launch part, which will happen within a month or two for sure for Ego.
Excellent. Excellent. I guess we are out of our time frame with regard to the session, but I'm going to take a quick questions that are there coming from audience, and we will just kind of quickly pose that to you. So one of the first questions I'm getting, which is a good question, is when it comes, from each of you, because you are all experienced in this sector, what would be your suggestion and advice to upcoming new entrepreneurs trying to look at this sector as an opportunity? Abhishek, starting with you.
I think they have to really look at the gaps in the market. What are the products which could be disrupted in the plant-based meat space? Then I said the biggest challenge is the technology aspects. Try to get a control over how you can, get into a technology, either a tie-up or discovery wherein you get the product which is really good. Price comes later. Now, first try to focus on the gap in the market and try to get the texture right. Once you do that, the other things are much more easier. So I think R&D will be very important, and also don't, earlier we discussed, don't focus on too many products at one go. Focus on one product. Try to develop a good product. Try to develop at a good price point, and I think that's the way to go.
Build volume associated with
Yeah,
specific.
yeah, absolutely.
Amit, Kartik, your suggestions to upcoming entrepreneurs?
Yeah, obviously, newcomers has to see the what is the product moving on the global market, and they have to observe the consumer behavior, which market we are going to target. According to that, we have to design the product, and obviously, innovation is very important. And R&D part is also very important because there is a very less source of these examples in the market. So we have to focus to which market we are going to target. According to that, we have to design the product.
I think from my perspective, you should, really become self-aware of all of your. First of all, there needs to be self-awareness about what you lack right now. If you lack, for example, technical expertise as well as you lack money, then you should focus efforts towards, making yourself secure in that area. And then, for the product part, I think it matters a lot that you understand the consumers. Uh, you know, try to not just focus too much on what consumers tell you, because 90% of it is true, of course. But I think there needs to be something. There is something hidden in the conversations which you have to grasp. And if you are likely to grasp it, then you are more likely to succeed in this sector, because there comes your unique insight where you can build your startup on. And I would say on the ingredients front, try to diversify the ingredients, because consumers are demanding different types of protein sources in their diets. And I would say just go in there with ferocity and just start what you're looking forward. India needs more entrepreneurs in the alternative protein sector.
That's true. Another question we are getting from the audience is with regard to the shelf life and the perishability aspects of it. So, for example, just like meat sector has a huge perishability issue and shelf life. So, how do you meet that challenge of shelf life and perishability, Abhishek?
I think, yeah, that's also important, especially in a market which is just being created and awareness level are not much. Even the product is good, there might be less offtake, and of course, if it is of a more perishable nature, I think that can really hurt you. So we were our distribution partner being RCM. They are all across India. They have 7,500 stores in tier two, tier three cities of India, wherein the cold storage, logistics, and chain, and is not that great. So that's why we consciously developed, solutions where the shelf life at ambient temperature is around 1 year of our products, almost most of our products. So that took care of a lot of challenges related to the perishable nature of the products. Yeah.
This is in retort form products.
Yes, it is. Some of them are in retort form, some of them are in non-retort form. But yeah, the shelf life of most of our products is around 12 months.
And frozen alternatives you have?
We have developed frozen alternatives, but we have not put them out in the market yet.
Amit, your side?
Yeah, we have some product in non-frozen and most of the product are in frozen form. So there is a challenge. Obviously, the India is there's some issues of refrigerator issue, sometimes the transportation issues. So definitely it will come. It is improving day by day. It's too much facilities are available in the market, so we can transport our product to each one place to another place easy. But sometimes the consumer they do not have awareness of keeping how to keep the product in freezer at what temperature. So very now the industry is moving frozen industry is growing very fast. So the consumer is also educated, so I think so.
That in itself I see as a challenge, because the distribution network related to the frozen is going to be different from the distribution related to the shelf stable or room stable products. So that itself is to be looked into. Kartik, from your side.
Yeah, I think there are two angles for it, because when you say something is similar to the animal-based counterpart, it needs to be similar on the physical dimensions as well, including shelf life. And I think the challenge is to maintain that consistency, maintain that nutrition, texture. Uh, for example, eggs are usually seen as shelf stable in India, but Evo is launching refrigerated. And there were some experiments, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago from, yogurt manufacturers. They were trying to develop some shelf stable yogurts, which did not go as planned, because when you say yogurt, it needs to be refrigerated for the consumers to get it perceived as fresh, right? And that's why there's a thin rope where you have to balance things from the consumer perception point of view as well as product point of view.
Great. Thank you so much. I would love to ask more questions, but I guess we are running out of time as given to us. But I look at the frontline future warriors of this industry sector. You guys are absolutely doing great work, carrying the flag of your own sector as well as food industry forward in India. My congratulations to each one of you for a wonderful work that you guys are doing, and look to see you in achieve many more greater heights. So thank you so much to each of the panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Sagar. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry.
Absolutely. And my request to the audience is for any specific individual questions to panelists, because we are running out of time, you may email us at sfc@sumanfoodconsultants.com and you may look us up also. Thank you so much, and look forward to sharing your questions, individual questions, with the panelists also. Thank you to all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sagar Kurade, and all our panelists for this extremely insightful session.